one. What's up, everyone? Coach Tony here. In this training, we're going to talk about the college application season and timeline. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen right now. For those who are joining me live, let me know if you guys can see this on your end. Let me know if you guys can see it. If the font is too big, too small, we can definitely make it a little bigger. I'm on a different screen today, so I'm not used to sharing it in this capacity. So hopefully it works out nicely. All right. So like I mentioned earlier, today we talk about the college application season and timelines, low kind of game plan for today. We're going to talk about both all the various types of apps that a lot of our students apply with. So the UC application, we'll talk about that for a little bit. The Cal State application, a lot of our families are from California, so that's a common school a lot of people apply to. And we'll talk about the common application, which is home to over 1,000 colleges as well too. We'll talk about those apps at a quick kind of high level. Then we'll talk about some recommended the timeline. So if you are a current junior, this call is super time sensitive for you because we're telling you exactly how to kind of break down these next few months for you. And then you have any questions, go ahead and drop it in the Q&A, drop it in the chat. We'll do some Q&A at the very end itself, okay? If you are joining me live, if you're here on the Zooms, if you're here on social media afterwards, go ahead and drop your grade in the chat or in the comments below so we can know who's here. So we kind of cater our presentations, cater our talks to the folks that are here live. So if we have a lot of juniors, then we'll kind of cater to more towards that group. If we have more eighth graders, for example, we cater towards that group as well. Okay, so that's pretty much the thing there. And then again, quick questions. This call is recorded, so this call is recorded. So if you guys want to access the replays, it'll be available within 48 hours at the time of this recording as well, so you guys can have access to that. For those who have no clue who I am, my name is Coach Tony. I'm actually a former UC Berkeley admissions reader, so I read apps behind the scenes, recommended yes and no to students, and I got to work as a director at UCLA. I even opened my own high school, and then I became TikTok's first college admissions partner. Today, we help students get into college through with our team, with our system as well. So the purpose of these sessions is to give you guys the information. You guys can take it and help your child with this here. So let's go ahead and jump right into the topics, okay? So for those who are new, I like to kind of live talk to those who are here live, who are joining me, and we can kind of just rattle it off as we go itself, okay? So first off, UC's NCSU application. This is mainly for these are the California state schools, right? So these are for California. UC is the University of California system. CSU is the California State University system. There are 9 undergraduate UCs, and there's 23 Cal State schools. Keeping in mind, yes, I know there are 10 UCs officially. The 10th one is UC San Francisco, which is only a grad school. So for most families who are here, especially all the thank you for everyone who shared your grades. I haven't seen any college students yet. So you guys are all in high school. So when you guys are applying for undergrad, there's 9 of these schools you potentially can apply to. Okay, so these are the 2 systems that you would need to be applying to. So as you open, just gonna tip as well too. I'll put this under like at the very bottom here. I'll do general tips right here. The apps don't really change, right? The apps generally don't change year after year. So one of the recommendations I'll have you guys do, especially juniors who are watching this, is go in and create an application, right? Create a portal, create an account, right? You can't submit anything. It's actually pulled past the deadline for most schools already, so you can't do anything that can hurt you. But you can go in and create an account, and then when you're a senior, right? When you're a senior, you can create have you create another year, and that'll be the one you use to actually apply. So, little tip here is create an account and poke around, right? And poke around. Again, it's one of those like a lot of people don't do this earlier. They just wait till senior year to do it. I'm like, no, why treat it as a surprise? It doesn't change. It does like 1 or 2 questions do change, but it's not fundamental. It's pretty much the same portal. Education system's really slow, so they're not gonna make too many changes to it. So go in, create an account. You'll get to see what it looks like. So you guys can kind of see, and everything. I'm saying if you haven't seen before, you're like, oh, that makes a lot more sense. It's much more visual in that case. Okay, so when it comes to the apps right? For the CSU first, right? The CSU is going to ask you for personal information. It's going to ask you for your academics, and it's going to ask you, did you do activities? Yes or no? And you answer. And after you're done with that, you are done, right? The Cal State app is very, very straightforward. It is very metric heavy, very academics driven compared to the UCs and other schools. So pretty much this is pretty much all it is, right? So some schools will have like a supplemental, right? Supplements for in case you're applying to like a music major or like a dance major, and they'll have something special. But for the most part, that's pretty much it. So the Cal State app is very straightforward. Let's talk about the UCs now, right? So the UC app's a little more complicated than that. They're also going to ask you for personal info. They are going to ask you for the academics, but they're going to ask you for your activities, right? They ask you for activities, and in the activities, they're going to allow you to add up to 20 activity slots as well too. So keeping that in mind, there's 20 slots for you to add information in here. So if again, we have a lot of people who are here who are ninth, 10th graders, I'd recommend you guys, right? Start kind of working backwards. Hey, how do I fill up these 20? Because that is a tip. You want to fill up as many of the 20 as you can too. Okay. And then, and just to kind of backtrack ourselves a little bit, when it comes to the academics, those of you guys who did college courses, dual enrollment, you can add your dual enrollment here, your college classes and your grades here as well. Okay. Same thing with Cal State. You can do that in Cal State too, right? So that's that. And then after the activity section, they're gonna have there's a section called scholarships. It doesn't really get you a scholarship automatically. It just says these are the types of categories that I'd be open to a scholarship for. So you select as much as you want, and then they'll send it to each individual kind of person, and they'll reach out to you if it fits. And then it's gonna ask you for a personal insight, which is think of it as the AKA right? The UC essays, I'm putting quotes, right? The UC essays as well. So, right, so that's pretty much what it is for the UC ed, right? So this is pretty much the app itself. The apps, the UCs and the Cal States, right? They open on August 1st. So if you are a junior currently right now, so you're about to be a senior soon, your app will open August 1st. So again, if you did follow the advice and create an application before, it doesn't transfer over. So you have to redo everything again for the new year. And then August 1st, go in, add that you're applying for fall of 2026, right? Which is what it is the next year, and then you just add everything back in as well too. Okay, so it opens August 1st. It is due on November 30th. Right, this past year was weird. This past year they uh, had it on December something. But typically it should be on November 30th every single year. So just mentally keep that deadline as a deadline for you guys to consider as well. All right, so that is the first part. That is pretty much a gist of the UC application without having to go in super far detail, right? The other app that you'll probably be applying with is the common application. So the common application, oh, keep in mind, one app to apply to all UCs and one app to apply to all CSUs. Keep in mind that you use one app. It's not individual apps per school. It's one app for all the UCs, one app for all the Cal States as well. Okay, so keeping that in mind. Common App, very similar. It's one application for potentially thousands of colleges. So when you look at the Common App, you'll see most private schools take this, most out of states take this as well. So when it comes to the Common application, you use one app and you apply to a lot of schools. Again, the components are very similar, right? There's personal information they're going to ask you. There's going to be the academic, same thing. You can add college courses you took here as well too. They're going to ask for activities. The difference here is that there's up to 10 slots. So a little different, right? A little different than the other one, than the UCs, but and this one also, right? And order matters. UCs, the order does not matter. You can put it from least favorite to favorite, favorite to least, alphabetical order does not matter to the reader. Common App though, it does matter. They are gonna view your best activity or your most the one that matters the most to you at the very top and then going downwards, right? So that's pretty much that. And then there's gonna be a personal statement. That's the AKA, right? The Common App essay. All right, that's kind of what you think this one's too. This one's a little different. This one is one 650 words as well versus the UC one. It's four 350 words each, right? Words each. Right. So that's the big differences between the two apps there. That's pretty much it, right? The difference now though in Common App there is the also the ability to answer college specifics supplemental questions. Meaning, when you enter the Common App, it's going to ask you what schools do you want to apply to with, and you're able to select multiple colleges. And each college you're submitting is going to have a drop down for each one of additional questions, additional essays that they're going to ask you to do, and that's also what you do. You answer those additional questions because that will be sent directly only to that school. No other schools will see that there. Okay, so that is the 101 of the common application itself. So now let's go ahead and move on to timeline, right? And move on to the timeline of what you should be doing, right? This whole process itself. Keeping in mind, this is, I would say, our timeline. I don't think you have to follow this to the T. This is what we're going to have our coaching families do. So if you're one of our coaching families, keep this in mind. It's kind of the time schedule for you all as well. But for everyone else, again, feel free to copy this. It's worked for our students. So I'll definitely copy it there, right? So the first batch, I would say is April to June before senior year, right? So for juniors, this is junior year right now. So for a lot of you juniors right now, this is in like 2 months, right? Starting 2 months. We're starting right away as well too. So when it comes to this type of season, the April to June months, right? The most important things, not most important, a few things that I would say you should make sure you do. Number one is narrow down your college list, right? So you should have a lot of schools. Now you should start bringing it down to a few schools itself here. And you also want to start to identify majors for each college. Something you may have noticed is that not every school might offer the same majors. One example is business, right? Most schools do not offer business, but they have something similar to business at every single school, though. So you can probably find something very close to it, but it might not be the exact wording of business at each of them, right? So that is the first one, colleges. When it comes to also the essays now, we always tell our students to start brainstorming 4 to 5 essay topics, right? Notice that I didn't say look at the things first, right? We want to identify the prompts first. Is kind of our first step that we want to do. We probably have trains on this as well too, of like how we actually do that. But at this stage, you want to brainstorm your topics first, as well, which comes up with the idea. You want to come up with the story. You want to come up with the insight of whatever the thing that you want to do, right? It's not idea. I think it's topic. Let's do topic first. Topic, story, insight. Those are the three things, right? Then once you have that by June, right, you should also have get all of your first drafts completed, right? Of the personal insight question and personal statement, right? And you're like, holy moly, first draft already. And we do this on purpose because, again, it should be messy. A lot of students, they keep, I'll wait to do it. I'll do it later. I'll do it later. Later never comes and they're freaking out stuff. For us, we basically tell our students, hey, it's okay to make mistakes. I want you to make this as ugly as possible, as messy as you can, because we just want the ideas down on paper. The rest is easy. The rest fixing it is actually very easy. It's just getting it out of the student is the hardest part. So we try to limit as much friction as we can here and have them just share, like, just tell me the story, tell me the insight, just write down so I can get it on paper first. Then we can tweak it afterwards, right? So it shouldn't take that long once you understand your topics, once you understand everything, right? Actually, I think I missed a step. In between here, you should actually know you pick the topic as well too. Pick the prompts, match the prompts to your topics. Match your topics with prompts, right? I didn't say the other way around. A lot of people, what they tend to do is they go to the prompts, that they look up the Common App. There's the 7 prompts, and they're like, oh, I like number 5. Let me write number 5, and that's not the best way to approach it. Just because Is that the best one? Who knows, right? That's and your brain's kind of pigeonholed at a time. You gotta think about certain thing. We have our students figure out, okay, what are the topics you want to talk about? Now let's find now let's find a prompt that allows you to talk more about that as well, too. Okay. Something else you want to do during this season, again, before school is over, you want to ask your teachers to be potential recommenders for you, right? So this is the letters of recommendation. So when it comes to the letters of recommendation, again, you're not asking for right now either because it's a little too early, but you want to ask for permission. Hey, is it okay, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so? Is it okay if I ask you again in the fall if you could write me a strong letter of rec? You basically want a yes or no. And realistically, it'll probably be your 11th grade teacher or somewhere else. It probably wouldn't be a 12th grade teacher because by the time you apply, you've probably known the 12th grade teachers for like a month or 2 months. Like, do you think they'll know that much about you is the question. And that's kind of the big filter when it comes to Les Rec and people there is that who knows you the best, right? Who knows you the best out of everything. So if you ask them like, hey, be outside of school, right? Who else is me as well, right? Keeping that in mind too. And then that's pretty much it. I always also take a sneak peek of the portals, application portals. We talked about that earlier down here. Like, it's create an account, check it out so you see what is poke at it, do things. So you say, oh, gotcha. Because again, it doesn't really change you. And then to my knowledge, and if there was a big change, they release it like now, like this month or March. So we'll keep an eye out, but for the most part, nothing significant has really changed in the world, the landscape of emissions. So nothing really will be different, is all there, right? So that is pretty much April, May, and June. Now, moving on. So after April, May, and June, now we have the months of July to September, right? So this is like the summer months, right? This is summer, the summer in between as well. Keeping in mind, I started seeing a few questions here. Keep in mind, I want to address this from the application point of view first. Is there way more? Of course, there's way more things you should be doing during this time than just this, but this is strictly just the application, just to stick to the theme of the training, right? This is just relating to the application itself. It's a lot more things you should be doing than just this, but keeping that in mind too. Okay? So when it comes to July, September, the first thing you kind of want to do is you want to identify your EA, your ED, and your regular deadlines, right? Colleges and deadlines. So there's different types of application cycles, right? So there's the early school, the early action, early decision, and there's regular as well. So for example, the UCs, excuse me, they don't have early, they only have regular. So November 30th is the regular date for them. For Common App though, there's both, right? And every school is a little different, so make sure you poke in it per school. So early action, early decision, both of them you apply early. Early means like mid-October, early November, and you'll find out December, January. And some of our, yes, yes, that most of our students found out already. December and January is when you usually find out the decisions for the early batch, right? Regular is regular decisions. It's typically you're applying in November, December, January-ish month, and you find out in like March. So find out a lot later the regular cycle as well too. So that's that, right? The difference between EA in ED for those who are curious. EA means you apply early, you find out early, that's it. ED, however, is you apply early. You can only ED to one school because if you get into that ED school, you're legally obligated to commit to that school as your next 4 years. So that's the difference of EA versus ED. Keeping in mind, right? ED is a very big commitment. You're saying, hey, if I get in, I'm going to you, and so you should know kind of what it is, the financials and everything should look like as well. You probably did the calculators and stuff as well. So just keeping that in mind is that's the difference to EA ED. Quick little tip though, this is like a little tip for everyone. If you can, I would actually recommend you do EA and okay, ED2, right? But EA over regular. The reason why you want to do that is if let's say you do EA but you don't get accepted, like you didn't make it in, most schools will not every case, most cases, they will defer you to regular. So basically, you have two chances, right, of applying versus if you only apply regular, you have only one chance to basically make it in. So I would definitely, if you can, and the reason why most students don't do it is they don't start early enough to get this done is all, right? So, but if you can prep early as best you can, then you don't really stress out the second half of the journey, then you're good to go there. All right. So that's that. Something else that to under the important date, August 1st is when applications open, right? So on this day, all the new UC app, the new Cal State app, the new Common app, they're all open. You're able to go in and create an account there right away. You should be able to create an account and fill in personal plus academic, right? Info, nothing that's gonna be super special, right? It's just entering grades, entering information, how big's your family, and all stuff, all the type of information there. So that's the thing there, right? Going back to our the rest of the app, right? You should have your applica activity. I call them blurbs, right? The description of the activities, right? Get your blurbs and your essays to about 75 to 80% completed. Is kind of where we like to see our students be at this point, right? By the September-ish time, right? So that's kind of where you want to be at to get your stuff almost done. There, keeping in mind, it's probably a lot to a lot of edits to get you there. So again, start early, and you should be good to go. And also, by the time you're kind of back in school now, ask officially for the letters of recommendation. That's kind of the official then. Okay. So that's the big one. Next thing is gonna be the month of October, right? And November. I think we can kind of put them together as well too. Right? Month of October, November. For this one, the EA and ED apps will be due, right? Apps will be due in mid-October to early November. So keeping that in mind as well, right? It's number one. Number two is that in November, UC and CSU apps are due on November 30th. Right. Again, this year, what they put this past year, they pushed it back a few days, but just mentally think of that. And just to throw it in there, just because timeline works nice here. So too, the FAFSA opens on October 1st. Maybe. The reason why I say maybe is that the last 2 years have not worked out that way. Last 2 years, the government tried to change stuff, and who knows what's going to happen next year with the government as well too. But if all stays well, if all goes back to normal, October 1st should be where FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. This is just the application. FAFSA does not give you money. Keeping that in mind. It's like it's like your college apps. Your college apps don't get you in. It's the person who reads your app behind the scenes. That's the one who determines your fate. So FAFSA, just the application, you fill it out, the FAFSA gets sent to the colleges. The colleges are the one who creates your profile. One thing to keep in mind is that because I hear this a lot, admissions, right? Admissions and financial aid are typically two separate departments. Means they don't talk to each other a lot. People think like, oh man, where's my financial aid letter when I got in or something, right? They give them a few days, right? Because they usually don't talk. Some schools are really good. They coordinate it with the financial aid departments when they release their yeses, but most don't. So most of the time, you'll probably get a yes from the schools like a few days before you actually get the letter because they'll let the financial aid team know like, hey, this student got in. Can you send them an offer after that as well too? And keeping in mind, your offer is going a little tangent now to financial aid, but your offer will be able to be paid. The offer will cover all tuition. Cover is a very like neutral word because technically that could be grants, loans, work study, right? So if you have a pretty robust income, it might be more loans, but again, they offered enough to cover the thing as well too. Vice versa, they might be more grants. So again, it depends there. But keeping in mind, their packages will be able to match whatever the total cost is going to be for you here. Okay, and that's pretty much October, November. Nothing super crazy that happens in this season. And then so December and January is probably the last like core months, I would say. You'll start to hear back from your EA and ED colleges as well too. Some schools, right, may ask for more info. Around this time as well. So, for example, some of them might ask for seventh semester grades, which is your first semester of senior year, right? So that's why we tell students don't mess up your first semester senior year. Some schools might ask for it, and if they do, they're using that in your admissions decision. Is also again too strong. Some of them might ask for additional letters of recommendation. Some of them might ask for additional essays or supplemental responses, supplemental mental responses. One of the common ones, for example, I think we did a training on it. If not, we can do a training on it in the next few weeks. The augmented review. This is something the UCs do, right? Not every UC, but like more like the Berkeleys, the LAs, those schools they do it. Augmented review is you're basically in the maybe pile, and then they don't say that, but that's realistically what happened. You're in the maybe pile. So how do they push you in and out of a yes or no? They give you an augmented review where they ask you for your grades, they ask you for letters of recs, they ask you for essays, and then they include that in the other the second reader who reads your application itself too. Okay. And some of our students also get interview opportunities during this time as well too. Little tip here, when it comes to interviews nowadays, it's typically not with admissions anymore. It's typically with an alumni is what we're noticing around with our students. And so it's more of a be selfish kind of interview, meaning what do you care about the school? And ask them that, right? That's kind of what they're looking for in this rather than looking for a right answer. There's no right answer to alumni, right? They're just sharing your thoughts of would this person be a good fit for the school? Because again, one of the things you'll see and you'll learn is culture is really big, right? Especially these top schools, as they want to keep the culture similar, right? To whatever the culture is. And again, I think as a student, you want that too, right? You want that too. There's places where, and if you can think about current work environments now, right? There's companies out there that work everyone like 80 plus hours and there's overwork people and people love that. In fact, that company. There's other people that have a much more like they care about their people and they have a lot of perks for them as well too, right? So again, that's culture. It's all culture building. So they want to know who you are and would you be a good fit for the culture is the biggest thing there. So again, there's no real the prep is just be confident and know that you did your best to get to the interview. Now let's share who we are. And again, second half, be selfish as well. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Don't forget to check admission portals around this time as well too to make sure like hey did we get in as well too. You'll probably get back in the day it was like letters but now it's usually through the portals and they usually tell you right away like hey check your email something so we sent you something today as well too. All right. Last next 2 months, so this month for any of our seniors who are watching this right now, excuse me, right at the time of this recording it is early February, so February and March, you should hear back from the rest of your colleges by March 31st, right? That's the last day actually, I lied. April 1st might be the last one. By April 1st. April 1st is officially the last day that you'll hear. And if you don't hear it back, check the portal. It's probably a no. Is usually it as well. And that's it, right? It's a waiting game. So pretty much once you submit, it's a pure waiting game. And this is made the regular decisions as well. Right? So that's the big thing here. And then next for April and May. So when it comes to actually let's just do April first. So when it comes to April, that's a big month for seniors, right? You'll find out every college you were accepted to, right? And rejected to, but we won't write that, right? And then you have to pick the schools. Now you're in the driver's seat. This is the 1 month that like, okay, this whole time you've been chasing their love. Now college are chasing your love. They want you to pick them is the thing. A lot of schools want that high yield rate. That's kind of how they deem success is that let's say if Berkeley offered 100 spots, like best case scenario, 100 people said yes, right? But that doesn't happen. So like let's say 100 people get offered, like 90 people say yes. That's a really good 90% is a pretty good yield rate as well too. College want to keep as high as you can is the biggest thing there. That's why low key for those who are kind of watching admissions the last few years, that's why we notice a lot more waitlist folks as well too, because waitlist doesn't affect the number of yield. As a result, these private schools, these top schools can brag about their really very high yield, but was it really right? Was it really that? Is all there. So I definitely recommend. So this is like an off tip recommendation right? I tell students visit, right? Visit the colleges, right? For the feel, right? I don't know how else to explain it, but if anyone here has a senior already, or you've gone through this process, or you will go into any juniors or seniors who will go through it, visit the schools that you got into. It's a completely different vibe, number one. Number two is one school will give you the feel that like, oh yes, this is the right school for me. And that's the school that you probably will end up going to, is what I feel. I got into a bunch of schools. I got into UCI full ride, UCLA full ride. Berkeley did not give me a full ride, but I stepped on the campus, and then the more I stepped on it, I was like, wow, there's something about this school that's not like the others, right? For me. And that drew me to Berkeley, is a thing as well, too. So the feel, and you also want to compare financial aid packages, um, and also have them compete as well too. So right now you're in the driver's seat. So I would like, if your second place school, if you want to go to another school, use them to compete. Because hey, this school's offering me more money. Can you guys match it or come close? Keep in mind, public schools won't do that. They're like, nope. But private schools, though, they could. Private schools have the funds to actually negotiate with you on this process. Again, some of them might not meet you all the way, but they'll meet you part of the way, which is better than nothing as well too. So I would definitely do that. I know a lot of families keep money as a factor when it comes to the schools. I would recommend get in first. I call it open as many doors as you can, then figure out the price tag later on, right? This is one of those like, don't exclude schools because you never know what's going to happen, right? So I'd rather know than always ask what if this, what if that is all. So that's pretty much what April is. And then the important thing for you is make sure you SIR by May 1st. SIR is submit your intent to register. So make sure by May 1st you're like, I'm committing to this school and this school only, right? And then you send in your deposit via deposit is usually how it's done, and you're in, right? Every school that doesn't hear back from you by May 1st, they're gonna assume that you didn't get in. Again, you should be nice and let every school know, no. But if you don't let them know, they'll assume that as well too. Little pro life tip. This is like a feel good life tip as well too. If you know you're not going to go somewhere, right? Tell them no earlier on, right? So one of the things that, and we've seen this number grow every year, is the number of waitlisted students, right? It has grown a lot over the years. And schools can't touch the waitlist until people start saying no first. Then they start pulling off the waitlist. Put yourself in that situation. Wouldn't you want someone to say no so you possibly has a better chance of getting in? So again, especially with schools, you know, for a fact, I'm not going to go here. Again, the courteous thing that you don't have to, there's no rule against it. So, but the courteous thing, if you're nice, right? I will let the school know, hey, I'm good. I'm choosing between other options, and say no, that potentially a student on the wait list can get bumped up because of you, is the thing. So makes you feel good, makes you sleep good at night, right? So that's my two tips there. And then pretty much the last one's the fun one, May and June is just transition for college, right? Make sure you do your housing and dining applications, register for orientation at your school, buy the dorm stuff as well too, and then do that, right? One thing to keep in mind though is make sure you finish strong, because right, every acceptance letter, right, right, read all, right? Every letter you get is a conditional acceptance. That's how they actually word it in your letters. Like it doesn't say you're in, it says you're conditionally accepted. That's kind of how all letters are written. Because what if you fail every class, right? Then they could say no to you, is all. So again, make sure you finish strong. Keep in mind, if you don't pass your classes, pass your 12th grade classes, okay, you could, or colleges could rescind their acceptance letter, which sucks, right? Because by then it's too late for anything else to do. So keeping that in mind there. Okay, so that's pretty much the summary, the breakdown of everything from an applications point of view. So if you are a current junior, about to be a senior soon, this is a list I would follow to make sure we don't miss anything along the journey itself. Okay. All right. That being said, a few quick announcements before we dive into Q&A. First one, juniors, right? If you guys are looking to partner with us on your essays as well, we have an event called the College App Intensive. It's essentially a 3-day series. The first day is in spring. The second 2 days is in summertime. The first day you'll come in with nothing. You'll leave with your first drafts all done. The 2-day event, you'll come in with your drafts. You'll leave with your final draft. So you guys are interested in that, go to collegeappintensive.com to register for that event. And we have a free newsletter that we launch. We're launching it every Tuesday. So if you're watching this live right now on a Monday, every Tuesday morning, we release a weekly newsletter. It's private, so you have to register for it. Go to collegeadmissionsecrets.co, not com.co, and you can register for it. We send you basically what to do every single week. I send you guys a lesson of the week, and I send you some scholarship opportunities to look into, to apply to basically every week. So you can't say, I didn't know. I'm giving you, our team is doing the research for you to find scholarships that matches our families as well. Okay. That's that. Before we dive into Q&A, feel free to start dropping your questions. If you guys are interested in notes of the replay, go ahead and text us. I text our team, notes of replay. Our team will grab that for you. And if you're interested in setting up, if you're not yet one of our coaching families, and you want to set up a free 15-minute, just a coaching call, right? Not to sign up for the program, but just to see where your child's at, see if we can kind of identify some gaps for you guys. Text word coach to same number, 949-298-6234. Our team will set up a assessment call with your family just to kind of see where you're at and give you some recommendations just to help you guys out. You don't have to join our program after this call, but if you want to, let the advisor know. They'll set up a follow-up call for you to talk about that. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into the questions. Looks like today was a pretty simple, straightforward training, but someone asked here, where do scholarships and grants fit along this timeline? Great question as well, too. So there's two things here, right? So first one, scholarships can be applied to as young as fourth grade. So I believe everyone in this room and most people watching this call, you're eligible. Go start applying to scholarship, right? You don't have to wait till senior year. You can apply right away. We have a few really good trainings. If you go to our YouTube channel, look up College Admission Secrets. For now, I know we're changing the name, but for now, go to College. If you watch this live, go to the College Admission Secrets, and then there's gonna be just look for the word scholarships. I think Coach Art did a training. I think he did two trainings from this, two trainings and scholarships, like how to look for you and for everything as well too. Definitely take a peek at that. And you can apply now, right? I think a lot of people think there are college scholarships. That's usually automatic, or it's usually an application after you get in. But that's specific to that school. I don't want to wait that far. I want to make sure we kind of find some earlier. So definitely start applying them now. Use scholarship databases. Again, Coach Art breaks that down in that training. FAFSA, I kind of explained this, right? Opens October 1st, and then you want to submit as soon as you can, right? Submit as soon as you can as well too. So FAFSA is almost like a first come first serve basis. So if you guys apply earlier, the bare likelihood that you'll get more money is all there. So I definitely would do this. And for families who are in college already, you redo this every year. So every single year you want to qualify for money, you do this. So pretty much for next 4 years for our upcoming seniors, next 4 years, you're going to be expecting to do this every single year. The first year is the longest because you're inputting it, but every year after that, you're going to, assuming nothing changes drastically in your family, you make the tweaks and it'll change it that way as well too. Okay. Keeping in mind, like I explained this earlier, is once you submit your FAFSA, FAFSA sends your information to the colleges. The colleges will go ahead and put together a package, right? A financial aid package for you, and it consists of a few things. It has grants on there, it has a work study, and it has loans. Quick little breakdown, right? Grants is free money that you don't have to pay back. The free money that you don't have to pay back. This is probably the best form of financial aid, is grants money as well too, right? There's like Cal grants, there's Pell grants, there's lots of grants as well too. Second one is work study. So work study is money reserved, set aside for loans that you can work off. Meaning, let's say, for example, I give you $5,000 of work study. You can go find a work study job, and work study jobs typically pay more and much more flexible hours because these employers know that you are a student first. As a result of that, they give you access to like more days off because they understand you have midterms and finals as well. The best job, by the way, is the library. So I've talked to a lot of people. I've gone through it myself. I wasn't that because those jobs get taken up really fast, but they pay really, really well. And you're probably studying as you're because you're just checking people's IDs, right? In and out. So it's a really cool, easy, chill job to do. So work study, consider that. And last one is loans, right? There's two types of loans after there. There's subsidized loans and unsubsidized loans as well too. So subsidized loans is basically government is paying interest while you're in school, right? So if you borrow $1,000 when you graduate, it's still $1,000. It starts interest 6 months after you graduate, right? So that's the number there. Unsubsidized is interest kicks in right away. So if you borrow 1,000, it might be 1,100 by the time you graduate, plus 6 months grace period as well too. So that's this one. Again, of course, the subsidized is probably the better option if you can have those. Definitely see if you can take those as well too. Okay. Perfect. I think that is all. The rest are just comments. I see. Cool, cool. That's pretty much it for me. Hope everyone enjoyed that training. Hope that was useful for you guys. And then I'll see you guys on the next training. Bye, everyone.